The breeze is a little, it's going to be in their face at some directions, but it's not going to have an impact on the race. The course is dry, and they're going to have a great day here today.
And certainly for a lot of these runners, they've run in a lot of different conditions throughout the years, so they are used to whatever's thrown at them. And while it is windy, it's going to be a great day. Gun has been fired, and we are racing here. The Women's 6K National Championship race here in Louisville, Kentucky is underway, and immediately we're going to see that pack start to form. Bob, in the early portions of the race, where was your mindset at? What were you looking to do early in the race?
Well, in this start of this course is this gradual downhill, which is kind of nice. They've got a nice run out. And so really this is about position. It's about getting out, making sure you're not too far back from where you want to be in the race. Because in a race this size with so many athletes, if you get stuck in the back, it's really hard to move through. And then it's kind of relaxing and taking inventory of yourself. How are you feeling? What's going on? Where do you need to be? That's all going to happen in the first 2 to 3, 4 minutes of the race here.
We'll have scoring loops for you after the 2K and 4K mark so we can officially tell you who's running where. Of course, the large pack, you're going to see that start to spread out throughout the course of this event. You got the lead cart that's going to get us some great shots throughout the course of this event, this Women's 6K that certainly so many of these runners have been working for a very long time. The fans, they get to line the corners all around this place here, Bob. It's really a neat opportunity, and some of them take off running to get some better views around this EP Tom Sawyer Park.
That's right, and that is the visual for cross-country fans that you see anywhere you go. As the runners go by one section, they're off sprinting to the next point that they've already mapped out where they're going to watch them come by.
Not a lot of early separation, Bob. As we see them come around this first corner, you've got a pack of about 100 runners making their way out as they really try to feel each other out here early on.
That's right. And every once in a while you see one runner at this early in the race out in front. But right now, when you see it lined up across the front like that, that means, as you just said, Nick, people are just, the athletes are just feeling themselves out, getting position, and getting ready to move at the right time.
See a pair of Notre Dame runners there towards the front of the pack. Of course, one of those is Molly Seidel, who is expected to contend for the individual title. She has a very, very impressive teammate running with her this weekend. That, of course, is Anna Rohrer, and she is also a freshman. So, you know, Bob, we talk about ALLIE Ostrander as a freshman, Anna Rohrer as a freshman. That's an awfully big stage for such a young runner to be running here.
It can play both ways. It can be overwhelming and nerve-wracking and impact your performance negatively, but ignorance can be bliss as well, and not knowing really the stage that you're performing on, and just going out there and running and doing what you're capable of doing is also a positive.
And we see those two Irish runners up front. You can call them first and second as of right now. How much does that help, though, to have a teammate? You know, for all these runners that are running for the team championship, of course they're pacing. They want to run in packs. But if you're running for the individual title and you've got a teammate you can run up front, does that help you pace your way through this event?
It does. It's familiarity. My coach in college, Sambo, always used to say, you don't expect to do in a race what you haven't done in practice. Well, these girls train with each other every day. And so to have your teammate with you that you train next to every day is comforting and encouraging and reassuring.
Had an opportunity to do a little walking around earlier today to really get the lay of the land here. Some of the unique things, Bob, about this course that you really like here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, I think it's generally spectator friendly. It's fair. I like fairness, meaning there's no kind of unusual sharp turns or crazy uphills or downhills. It rolls, and so it's fair. It's going to challenge them on the elevation, slight rolls. It's wide enough to make moves and pass athletes if you need to, and it's a fair course.
Early stages of the Women's 6K National Championship race underway. And Bob, so far, not a lot of separation, a lot of runners trying to stay in that pack. But we expect at what, maybe the 4K mark for some of these runners to start to make their move?
I think the team race will start to really shape up at 4 kilometers. I expect the individuals to start moving in front and show themselves before that, probably at 2 or 3K at the latest.
You and I talked about this New Mexico program, and some people who cover the sport are saying this might be one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. Wisconsin Invitational earlier this year, they scored an unheard of 32 points. I mean, that's just incredible. Where do you stand in terms of where they stand as maybe one of the greatest teams of all time?
Well, and that is a big thing to say, one of the greatest of all times. They are a great team, but you have to run the race. We talked about this earlier. Today, there are case after case where a team that was expected to win easily has lost an NCAA championship. The men from Colorado beat a great Wisconsin team about 10 years ago. Can't remember the exact year. And that's why we run the race today. And things can happen. Someone falls. Maybe someone's sick yesterday that we don't know about. All those kind of things play into who ends up winning the team championship.
And of course, as we mentioned, New Mexico didn't get that regional championship. They were knocked off by just a handful of points by Colorado. Here's a look at those regional championships. And Bob, when you look at it, a lot of powerhouses in terms of cross-country programs that 2 weeks ago punched their ticket here to Louisville.
Absolutely. And the top two right there, Michigan and Penn State, were first and second in the Big Ten meet, went to different regions and won their respective regions. Like we talked about, Colorado and New Mexico already in the mountain region, and Arkansas and South Central.
Year in, year out, what would you consider the toughest region? I mean, does it change from time to time in terms of which regions have the powerhouses?
It does. It evolves. I mean, the regions with the powerhouse programs, the programs that are here every year are of course, by definition, tough. But it will roll from region to region from year. And you've got Molly Seidel and
Anna Rohr,
Anna from Notre Dame out there leading the pack right now.
See Dominique Scott as well in the red and white, number 28 for Arkansas. She's had a tremendous season, is expected certainly to contend for this individual title. We see them making their way down this long straightaway. Still no separation, though, early on in this race, though, Bob.
And freshman ALLIE Ostrander from Boise State is right in behind, probably about 6th, 7th, 8th, right there in the lead. And that's a great place for her to be right now, I think. She's got her eyes on what's going on in front. She can cover any moves that are made, but she's also just kind of biding her time for hopefully probably making the move that she's planning on making at some point.
Yeah, Ostrander appeared to be towards the left of that pack, number 49. She's not too terribly tall, so easy to get lost in those packs, Bob, if you're not a 6'1" or 6 foot or taller runner.
It can be, but she's in great position. And when you're running in a pack, you really want to think about, do I have the capacity to move when I have to move? Meaning, if I'm blocking. So she's kind of on the left side. She's tucked in behind a couple runners. But if something happened on the right side of the pack, she has the room to move and cover it if she needs to, if she's not stuck.
Yeah, she has just had a tremendous season as a freshman, and she has knocked off some of these top runners in the country. She beat Seidel. She beat Dominique Scott at the Wisconsin Invitational earlier this year. And her last two meets, the Mountain West region and her conference title, she won by an average of 18.5 seconds. So, Bob, Ostrander's just a freshman, but she's not afraid to flex a little muscle.
No, she's not. She was a great high school runner. She's running big meets before at that level, so it's not brand new to her. And she I'm sure she's still learning about herself and how she runs, but she's not afraid to win. She knows how to win races.
About 8.5 minutes into this women's 6K. You're going to be the first race of the weekend. Nick Yeoman and Bob Kennedy here at EP Tom Sawyer State Park. We talked about that New Mexico team. Colorado's the team we expect to contend with them. Men's and women's side, it doesn't matter. Colorado, they bring the big guns when they show up to these events, don't they?
Yeah, Colorado's one of those programs that has a tradition that just feeds on itself, and a great coaching with Mark Wetmore and altitude and all those things that help them be the program that they are.
As I mentioned, you won this event twice back in, 1988, 1992?
I think that's right.
I was going to say, we've all slept since then, haven't we? The nerve level, how did some of these runners sleep the night before this big event?
It's nerve-wracking, especially if it's your first time, if you've never experienced a meet at this level. It's nerve-wracking, and what I got nervous about was things that I couldn't control. Was I going to step in a hole and sprain my ankle, eat the wrong thing and get sick, all those kind of things. When you're at this meet, you've prepared, you're ready, you're fit, you've done the work. So it's not that's nerve-wracking. It's those things you can't control that you get nervous about.
Look at the Ansco marching, about 7 by 7 of the fans moving around this spectacular, absolutely gorgeous course here in Louisville, Kentucky. This is the first time, Bob, I've had a chance to come down here to E.P. Tom Sawyer State Park. This is a facility that has hosted a lot of big cross-country events throughout the years, and certainly with the fan turnout, the facilities, all the volunteers, so far it's been a very successful event, I would say.
Oh, they put on a great meet here, and here we got the women's leaders coming back through the tree line with our cameras, and it's still Michigan and Notre Dame. I think that's Molly.
Yeah, you see Dominique Scott. She's still up there in that lead pack. It's a bit of a separation. Seeing about 20, 25 runners starting to distance. We saw that pack before was about, 40, 50, 60 deep as we hit the 10.5-minute mark of this 6K, though. Bob, certainly some of the strengths being shown by these top runners.
Yeah, and you're right, Nick. It's a great observation. It's stringing out now, whereas it used to, when we looked at it before, it was flat across the front. Now it's strung out a little bit, and if we get our camera back on that shot, ALLIE Ostrander was about in 4th there. So she's moving with the pack as the moves are made, staying in contact as the strings off and other runners drop off the pace.
Certainly she is a talented freshman. We talk about some of these runners that are seniors, juniors. Maybe you don't know if those opportunities are going to come next year because nothing's guaranteed. So many talented runners across the country. But for seniors, this is the day that you've been waiting for, your last opportunity to really go for a national title.
It is, and there's a lot of emotion going on for seniors, and it could be their last collegiate cross-country race. Most likely it is, and you're part of your team for so long that's emotional. So you want to do well, and then you have your kind of family that you're running for as well.
Nice little group pack starting to stretch their way out. Looks like 10, 15 runners. Kind of splitting the fans on either side. The trees that line this E.P. Tom Sawyer State Park course, absolutely fantastic. I love to see all the signs around here as well that, people come from far and wide, Bob, to support their schools, to support their friends and family on such a big weekend. Oh,
they do. I tell you, my mom, God love her, she was probably the biggest fan. Everyone, you could see, watch across the course here, people running across. She had big flags and screaming, and it's so great to see that friends and family doing the same thing for the athletes that they're cheering for.
Was she the sign type? Would she make up a sign, run, Bob, run?
She had a big IU flag is what she had.
Always easy to pick out Mom, that's for sure. We see the runners making a left-hand turn as we are now 12.5 minutes into this women's 6K. This is the national championship event. Still seeing the Notre Dame runners up front. Molly Seidel and Dominique Scott from Arkansas starting to pace their way to the front of this pack, and it appears that is ALLIE Ostrander, I believe,
that's right.
That's running right there in 3rd. So immediately, Bob, we're seeing some of these strong contenders start to pull away. Still got a handful of runners right there hanging with them, but they are dictating the pace of this race.
They are, and it's really Dominique Scott right now who looks like she's, along with Molly, honestly, they are not letting this pace dawdle. And I'm not sure if this is by design, but they do not want as many people next to them as there are right now. They're trying to break away, separate with the athletes they think they're going to be competing against to win the championship, and then go from there.
If you're Dominique Scott or Molly Seidel, are you taking a peek behind you and saying, where's that pesky freshman at? Oh, she's right behind us?
They know. They know exactly where she is. They don't have to peek around. They can feel it. They see it. And that's the fun part of racing, is the strategies that go on.
13:45 now into this women's 6K national championship event here in Louisville, Kentucky. Just a spectacular view as you see some of these runners making their way in between the trees. And Bob, we're already starting to see some of these fans line up here along the front straightaway to see the run to the finish.
Yeah, we are, and it's a great finish. It's a slight downhill finish into the finish line. Again, I used the word fair before. It's a fair finish. When you look at cross-country courses, you want to look at is the ground the last 500-600 meters fair? Do you have the opportunity to pass? All those kind of things. And I think it's worth saying we did lose our wireless camera on the lead truck, so we're seeing some shots here, doing the best we can to bring the race to you through the trees for right now, but we'll pick it up shortly.
It's almost as if you're there. Certainly there's never going to be a perfect sight line at a cross-country event. That's why you got to be in pretty good shape if you make your way out here to do a little running. A lot of fans, as I mentioned, lining their way along this front straightaway. We saw some of the real contenders make their way to the front of the pack. ALLIE Ostrander, Molly Seidel, Dominique Scott. It's easy to keep track, Bob, of the individual race because a lot of times we can see the runners that are at the front of the pack. The team race, that's got to be an interesting dynamic because if you're the third, fourth, fifth runner, you don't know if you're in good shape, if you need to pick it up, or if you can lay off a little bit.
That's right. The team race it evolves and changes the whole time, and it is so important for every member of the team to do their job. And it can get the thing that's hard in a pack, or that's easy to do in a pack, is to kind of let yourself go. And if you're supposed to finish 40th, or you hope to finish 40th, it's really easy to finish 60th and have run a hard race. And so you have to keep the pressure on. You have to keep thinking, I need to get past that person. I need to get up to that next pack. I need to keep moving forward. And that's so important, and great teams with great third, fourth, and fifth runners have those kind of athletes.
If you're a third, fourth, or fifth runner, do you have a specific number in your head and you're keeping track of, all right, I need to be in the top 50, I need to be in the top 75 to make sure my team's got a good point standing?
Yes, you do, and your coach has designed that. And so here we got Molly. Looks like she is from Notre Dame, putting the pressure on right now, really trying to string this out. ALLIE Ostrander right on her shoulder, and Dominique Scott falling off a few meters at this point.
And those front three, as you saw, have, I don't want to say checked out, but certainly they have separated themselves. As you can see, as they run away from our camera view here, still no runners in sight.
The 5 kilometer mark going by right now.
And then I think
1K to go.
And then I think we just saw a pair of runners for New Mexico just pass. I mean, they're expected to be really almost all 5 of them right there from about 5th to about 25th or 30th. So liking what you're seeing right now from Molly Seidel and ALLIE Ostrander setting the pace.
Oh, absolutely. And we just saw New Mexico's 5th runner go by at 5 kilometer, and I'm just a guess for me, top 30. So it looks like they are doing what they need to do to win this team title. And this individual race is going to be interesting coming down the final straightaway here.
17 minutes into this women's 6K national championship event. Oh, the contenders, the favorites, have not disappointed. ALLIE Ostrander, Molly Seidel from Notre Dame, Dominique Scott from Arkansas. Those 3 set the pace early in this race, have checked out on the field as we see a lot of the other runners making their way through this corner. Those leaders are long gone, setting the pace early on. And now, Bob, you start thinking about that last kick. You got to have that last little bit of energy. All 3 of those runners have it, but who has the best?
Right. And Molly's won an NCAA championship. She won the 10,000 meters, as we said earlier, at the outdoor track and field championships back in June. She's experienced what it takes to do that. And ALLIE's won some big high school races in her past, but this is her first NCAA championship that she's competing in. And at this moment, I would imagine they're not thinking about, oh my gosh, if I don't win this. They're competing and thinking about, okay, do I need to move now? Am I just hanging on? Can I hang on just a little bit longer and maybe she'll falter? All those things are going through your head depending on how you're feeling at this moment in the race.
What type of runner were you, Bob? Did you like to have that energy ready for this last kick?
I loved having the energy. Right? It depended on the day. Some races you were ready to go. Some races you were hanging on and hoping that something went your way.
18 and a half minutes. You saw some of those lead golf carts make their way out of the final corner. We're waiting to see which runner appears first. We saw Ostrander trying to run down Notre Dame's talented senior, Molly Seidel, as we creep into the 19-minute mark, and there is Molly Seidel.
Molly.
And Bob, I don't see ALLIE Ostrander in sight. There she is, probably a good 15, 20 yards back, but Molly Seidel with a nice lead as they make their way down the home stretch.
And they still have 150 meters to go right about this point, and so she's got a pretty good lead. I think she'll hold on to this. What an exciting Great run from Molly at this point.
Allie Ostrander trying to run her down. She's just a freshman. She's going to have some big days coming up. But for Notre Dame senior Molly Seidel, she's going to accomplish what she set out for at the beginning of the season. She will win the women's 6K as she crosses the finish line. She is the individual champion here in women's cross country. A strong run for Allie Ostrander. She comes across the line second. Bob, here comes the Arkansas senior Dominique Scott, a very impressive third-place run. And now we'll just kind of keep our eye as we see one New Mexico runner come across the line in fourth. We see another in fifth. Going to be tough to beat. There's Anna Rohr. She's the other Notre Dame freshman.
Run for her.
Yeah, she's going to come across the line in sixth. And just keep your eye for me, partner, as we watch some of these New Mexico.
12. Looks like maybe 15 here. That's 4 New Mexico in the top 15 or 16. And I see their fifth runner, another 15 spots back, likely, maybe 12 spots back.
And for the teams that we expected, we're going to see them start to come in. There's Courtney Frerichs in fourth, Alice Wright fifth for New Mexico. A little bit further down, Rhonda Auckland is 13th. Callie Thackeray is 15th. And that's your top four right there. So certainly New Mexico looks like that, barring. And then there's Molly Renfer, fifth. So top 23 for all 5 runners. That's what we expected. And Bob, we joked about it. If you want to be called the greatest women's cross-country team of all time, I think putting all 5 in the top 23 at nationals is the way to do it.
That's strong, very strong.